Howdy, welcome to Casey Cares. We're the voice of Kansas City nonprofits, and we share the stories of local nonprofits and the individuals who drive them. Casey Cares, we connect the nonprofit and business sectors, enhancing the quality of life in Kansas City for our residents and our visitors. This Casey Cares segment is brought to you by the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundation, www.kaufman.org. I'm Ruth Bombigas. They say it takes a village to raise a child, and nowhere is that more true than in the work of our guest today. For over 20 years, the Learning Club, based in Kansas City, Kansas, has been a vital part of that village, walking alongside children from low-income backgrounds to help them strengthen essential academic skills, especially reading. By working one-on-one with students, the Learning Club is breaking down barriers and creating positive, pivotal learning experiences that can change the trajectory of a child's life. Joining us today is Laura Swan. She's Executive Director of the Learning Club with a deep background in education, including experience teaching English as a second language. Laura brings both passion and expertise to this mission. She's here to share more about the organization's work and its impact and why individualized support can make such a difference. Laura, welcome. It's so great to have you on the podcast.
Hi, Ruth. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're going to dive into all things Learning Club, but let's start where you begin, because I think you were kind of born for this work. Share with us a little of your background story coming to this.
Yes, thanks for saying it just like that, because it feels that way to me as well. So I grew up just outside of Detroit in Michigan and always had a passion for reading and literacy and for social justice as well. And when I came out to Mizzou to go to school, I found myself studying journalism and then veering towards education. And I really found that education and early childhood education and literacy in particular just unlocks the world for kids. So I changed my major as quickly as possible. I've been teaching and working with kids ever since. And I found myself at Learning Club in 2018. So we're going on 8 years here. And I've really enjoyed that Learning Club is a place where we can do all of the great educational work and make a real impact, but have some flexibility to, like you said, to meet kids where they are, to individualize the experience, and to really change the trajectory for children and to uplift communities and families. So I've had a breadth of experiences in journalism and in teaching, and I enjoy putting all those experiences to good use here at Learning Club.
So did you come directly from the classroom to the Learning Club?
Yes. So I taught kindergarten and then first grade and fifth and sixth grade math at the alternative school in Kansas City Public Schools. And so I was looking to leave the classroom. And I hopped on Nonprofit Connect's job board, which is where I learned about all the different things that the great work that's being done here in Kansas City in nonprofits. And I found Learning Club. I started out as the internship director. So going from kindergarten to first grade to fifth and sixth grade math. And then all of a sudden I was working with high schoolers. As you might imagine, I had them circle up like they were kindergartners and introduce themselves. And now looking back, I just have to laugh at that. But they played along, they loved it. And that was with our internship program. So we have high school students who were training to become teachers and to give back to their community in different ways. So I just loved the internship so much. And going from the classroom to the Learning Club, I found that I could really flex my creative muscles and harness my energy into making an impact in a way that is kind of next level. So I've moved through Learning Club. I was the director of operations for about 4 years. And then when our founder, Brad Grabs, stepped down a few years ago, he took me to coffee and asked me to apply. So I applied, and I've been the executive director now for about 2 years.
Well, I think you're just a proof point to a lot of folks saying, gee, I'd like to get into nonprofits, but how do I go about doing that? So kudos to you and good advice for folks out there. Hey, you can do it. I think for you, it seems like you've really found the right niche because you have that educational background and that teaching background. So
That's right.
great,
Yes.
great job
And
for
that's
you.
it's a good point, Ruth, that there's so many nonprofits in Kansas City doing great things. And I know there's people who are saying, I want to do more. I want to give back. I want to make the world a better place, but I don't know where to start. And I think finding your niche, finding what do you bring, what's your special gift that you bring to the world, and then how do you use that and put it into action and make a difference, big or small. And it could be a career change. It could also be volunteering. Shameless plug for volunteers.
Well, we'll talk about that. That's for sure.
But there's so many different ways to get involved in nonprofits in Kansas City.
All right, let's talk about Learning Club specifically. You really have an interesting model of how you operate. There are a number of educational organizations, that, as you say, out there trying to, I don't know, catch kids up or, help beyond the classroom. What makes you all unique in how you're set up?
I think what's unique about Learning Club is that we started in neighborhood centers and in public housing community centers, and we make a point to really focus on the areas in our community where families are unable to access other resources, other programs, other opportunities. So we often have people come to us and say, "Oh, I'd love to have Learning Club here or there," and we really focus in on what we do best, which is operating in neighborhoods where we can be in a community center and we can go door to door and talk to folks. We can meet kids where they are and support families in a smaller ratio, maybe than a school, but with more intensive supports. So instead of trying to tutor 10,000 kids, we're trying to really focus on our 500 and holistically support the students and the families. So we provide transportation for our high schoolers. Transportation is such a barrier for families.
Yes.
All of our programs are free and always will be. And in fact, our high schoolers earn a stipend for participating in our program. We always provide a snack or a meal at all of our programs so that students who come to us hungry are able to have that hunger satiated before they get ready to learn. And we also work to collaborate with families in a unique way. And one example I think illustrates this really well is there will oftentimes be schools that call us and say, "Hey, I'm really trying to get a hold of Terry's grandmother. Can you please go to their house and check in and see how they're doing, see if they have an updated phone number?" And we can do that. We have those relationships with our families where we can show up at their doorstep. And oftentimes we're welcomed in to living rooms and handed babies. And we have those really close relationships that, like you said, it does take a village, and in a lot of ways, Learning Club feels like a village. And that's I think what makes us unique is that we are in families' homes, and we are transporting students, and we're going above and beyond to make sure that families who lack access to transportation or who have language barriers or other barriers to access, that they're able to participate in enriching, engaging, high quality programs.
How do these kiddos come to you? Is there an application process? Is it the schools identify? How does it happen?
That really is program specific. For our after school program in particular, which was how Learning Club started, and our biggest program at this point, our after school program, which is in community centers and public housing community centers as well. And that is a lot of word of mouth. Kids come year after year. They see that the doors are open. They know it's a learning club day, and they come running. And then when new families join the neighborhood, they're welcomed into the fold as well. They're invited by their friends or their cousins. And then at the beginning of each school year, we do a welcome back event, or we go and knock on doors and let families know Learning Club is starting again. And we find that that in that way, families make their way to us. Because we're in community centers and because we don't advertise our tutoring services to the wider community, we really are focused on the students who live there, who live within walking distance, which makes it very easy to recruit. For our high schools, we go into the high schools and we present information about the internship program, and then students do apply for that. We had, I believe, 160 students apply for that, and we are limited because we have one 15-passenger van, but we were able to accept about 90 high schoolers this year, and that
Wow.
that continues to be the average from year to year, about 90 to 100 high schoolers who they come and they receive an hour and a half of training, and then an hour and a half they tutor a younger student as well. So students come to us all different ways. Every once in a while, we will have a teacher or a school that reaches out and says, hey, I really need to get this student into a learning club program, and we'll find a way to make that happen.
So can kiddos just drop by? Or do they have to be signed up so that everybody's on the same page?
Good question. And family engagement, parent involvement, call it what you will, is also a barrier. People are busy and adults are being pulled in more directions and having to do more with less. And so we never want a student or a child to be unable to access our programs because their parent is working two jobs or because English is their fourth or fifth language. So we have a registration form, and we strongly encourage registration forms, but we do not turn students away. So there are students who turn in their registration form every single year. And there are students who we're just not really sure what their full legal name is. And we still just open the doors because students walk over after school. It is open to the community. And we also have students that they're in 9th and 10th grade, and they don't want to come sit with me and work on their homework after school. I don't know why. But they will still come by and say hello and check in and get a snack. And we love that too, because we're keeping in touch. And then they send their younger siblings. So you never know what will come of that. But it's always great to see kids coming back week after week and year after year.
I want to revisit all the stuff about your internship program, but let's talk about the kiddos that are coming to a learning club after school. Who's tutoring them? And is there like a set curriculum to follow?
So we are so lucky to have such a strong base of volunteers. And we have volunteers who come after school for about an hour, and it's once a week, and they work with a student one-on-one. And the hope is always that it's the same student week after week, but with eliminating barriers, there might be weeks that student can't come, there might be weeks the volunteer can't come. And we also are growing right now. We have more students and more sites reaching out and asking for programs and for support. So we do need volunteers in this moment. And our volunteers are not educators. They're not trained in any way. We tell volunteers, if you can read a book to a child at bedtime, you can come to Learning Club. For a lot of our students, this might be the only time throughout their day that they are given an adult's full and undivided attention. Without a screen, without other kids vying for attention. So that one-on-one relationship is a protective factor in and of itself. Beyond that, we do provide all of the resources that volunteers need to work with students. So our primary focus is always homework. But more and more often, it seems like students aren't coming home with homework. So we do have a reading curriculum that is A to Z, A being the easiest, Z being the hardest. It's fairly easy to navigate. And we also have a math resource curriculum and some writing activities so that tutors and students can really go day by day and figure out what's needed that day to move forward. If the student had a particularly tough day, they might do a writing activity and talk through what happened. If they have homework, that would be the primary focus. If it's a typical day and everyone's feeling great and ready to go, they might jump right in with reading a book and doing a leveled reader activity, which is really just a magic worksheet that works with any book. And then we're also right now, it's very exciting. We are developing a literacy program that is targeted to sequential skills that build to help kids learn the very foundations of reading and the foundations of literacy. And I'm so, so excited about this because it's also very accessible for people without an education background. You don't have this skill, you teach this skill. It very much makes sense. We test our students and see what skill they need more practice on. And then we go to activity number 4 and say, okay, practice this skill. And it really is going to enact systemic change in a way that we're very excited about because it's teaching really the foundations of reading in a way that is easy for volunteers to use, which means we can teach more kids one-on-one all at the same time and make a bigger difference.
Now, if I'm a volunteer, am I going to meet with the same kid or can it ebb and flow?
It does ebb and flow sometimes, but then there are tutors and students who are ride or die, as I call it. They walk in and they say, "Oh, Mr. Marin's not here. I'm going home. I'm waiting for my tutor, or my tutor is going to be late today. Don't put me with somebody else. That's who I work with." So there are pairs that really grow their relationship over time, and that's the goal. Is that every week. Ruth and Khadijah are meeting and they're reading a book together and they're getting to know each other so that as time goes on, the relationship itself makes a difference and the learning can be enhanced by that relationship. So that is the goal. I will say though, it does not always happen that way. There are there are students who are inconsistent sometimes, or it is always bittersweet when one of our families moves out of public housing because it's usually a good move for their family, but it means that sometimes our tutor and student relationships split up and have to start over again. But we do generally try to be one-on-one so that relationship builds over time.
We're talking to Laura Swan. She's the executive director of the Learning Club. All right, before we leave volunteers, what is the best way for folks to get to you and sign up or learn more information?
I'm so glad you asked. We need volunteers. We need folks who are interested in making a difference in their community right here in Kansas City and in really getting on the ground and getting to know a child and reading with them and encouraging them to always do their best. And if you can volunteer for 1 hour a week, you are welcome at Learning Club. The best way to find out more information is through our website at learningclubkck.org. But you're also welcome to directly call our volunteer coordinator. She is waiting for your call. Our phone number for that is 913-429-0447. But any way you get in touch with us, we will find a way to get you started with volunteering. Our training is simple. We have an orientation, a child protection policy, and we'll give you all the tools you need to get started.
Oh, great. So go sign up, folks. All right, let's go back to your internship program. I think that's so exciting. How do you find these students?
So we go into our KCK public schools and we go into the high schools and recruit during their lunch hour or during their homeroom classes. And we give a presentation. Our internship team tells them all about what they'll do at the internship. And and then those students apply. They submit an application online through our website, and it is currently closed because we are full. But the high school interns, they come from all the Kansas City, Kansas public schools, and then we occasionally have a student from a school outside the district who applies. There are sometimes high schoolers who want to be teachers, but the majority are just like our volunteers. They're people who want to give back.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes our interns will say, I wish I had something like this when I was in elementary school. And I think one very magical thing about the high school internship is so many of the interns live in the neighborhoods where they are now tutoring or speak the same language as the student they are tutoring. So they can be a role model in in a unique way because they're not that far removed from our
Mm-hmm.
elementary school students, but they're far enough removed that those younger students can really see a path to success through the interns. They can see that they can do it if they try and if they work hard and they can build a very deep relationship. The interns do an hour and a half of training so that they learn how to be wonderful tutors and role models. And we also are trying to grow our own teachers here in Wyandotte County. Um, there's there's so much that keeps people from becoming teachers, and we all know that the teacher shortage is not going away anytime soon. So we have set up a pipeline to really try to grow our own teachers here in Wyandotte County. And part of that is through the internship program itself. We also have a lead internship program where interns can step up even further and really hone in on pedagogy and education. And then we also have a scholarship program. So when interns graduate, they're eligible for a scholarship if they are going into an education field. So if they're going to any institution of higher learning and studying education, they can apply for our scholarship. And it's $2,500 a year. And it is a 4 or 5 year scholarship. So they can renew that every
Wow.
year they're in school. And we also keep in touch with our scholarship recipients and try to support them in any way that we can. And I'm very happy to say that we have at least 4 former interns who are now active teachers,
Oh,
3
that's
in
great.
our school district. Yeah. So those interns have come full circle and are now teachers in our KCKPS elementary schools.
That's fantastic to see that pay forward. Are any of the current interns, or have you had interns who've actually gone through your program
We
and
have.
been the kiddo being tutored?
We have, and we even have some interns who come one day as a student and meet with an adult, and then they come another day as an intern and they tutor a student. And we absolutely welcome that because there are high schoolers who need help with their homework or who
Yeah.
need help with reading. So they do come twice a week sometimes. We have students who've become interns. Absolutely. I think we're at about 20 of our current interns who are former students. And then we have students who become interns who become staff members as well, which
Oh,
is
terrific.
is really special. And again, just elevates that relationship and elevates
Yes.
the connection and the potential for learning when students can see themselves in a leader.
How many sites are you at?
We have 28 sessions a week at this
Wow.
point. So there are lots of opportunities to get involved. We have 6 of those after school sites, which we talked about. We have 5 in school sites, which is a little bit of a different model. We go into the school and do a reading intervention. And that was at the request of the school district. In 2018, they came to us and said, will you help us with our literacy? Will you provide services in the school? So we have 5 of those in-school programs. We now have 8 middle school programs as well. We know that middle school is a tough time in the best of circumstances. So
Yes.
we've created very targeted programs and lessons based on the needs of the middle schoolers and their feedback. And then we have 4 internship programs, 1 lead intern program, and then the interns work with the students after school. So there are lots of ways for students to get involved at whatever level they are, and then lots of opportunities for volunteers as well.
How big is your team organizing all of this and making sure everything works?
There's about 17 of us now, and from all different backgrounds. Like I said, my favorite is when we have students who becomes interns who then become staff members. We are also a home for former educators, so we love working with former teachers because as a former teacher myself, we understand the deep need that exists and how to support schools and teachers. For example, we know that when we go to schools, that first week we show up with donuts.
Smart
and
move.
we and we know when to push in with students, when to pull back, how to access services. And the school district has really been such an amazing partner for us in this regard. But our team is small but mighty, and we're working hard to make sure families and students here in KCK get what they need.
Now, you mentioned earlier that these services are all free. How are you able to do that? Where does the support come from?
Good question. We are very lucky that Learning Club has a strong foundation of individual support. So we are 85% funded by individual donors, people
Wow,
who
that's
send
impressive.
checks in the mail from $5 to $500. If you have 5 million, I'll take it. But we really are so grateful for every $25 check we get in the mail because it's the basis of everything that we do. We also have really strong partnerships. So, Jack Stack has been a partner from the very beginning of Learning Club. And we also have a corporate sponsorship with Security Bank and Ryan Lawn and Tree. And then BPU in KCK provides volunteers through a partnership we have with them. We also are very lucky to have a strong partnership with the Hall Family Foundation. And we're working to grow those partnerships because as I mentioned earlier, there are students and families and schools reaching out and asking us to provide services or programs in their area, in their neighborhoods. And in order to do that sustainably and in a scalable way, we do need to grow our corporate and our foundation partnerships. So that's something we're working on as an organization at this moment.
Well, you're doing amazing work, helping kids one-on-one, giving that all important thing we hear all the time is having a key adult beyond the parent. Not that the parent is not the first and foremost, but just having another adult that a kiddo can count on to be there. And
Yes.
I guess kind of to be the backup or the team player to help that kiddo achieve. So kudos to you at the Learning Club. Encourage those who are watching and listening, check them out. They're doing that one-on-one important work, taking a child in a village and lifting them up. So Laura, kudos to you and your team. And thanks for sharing your story here on KC Cares.
Thank you so much, Ruth.
And thank you for joining us on KC Cares, Kansas City's nonprofit voice. We're produced by a nonprofit called Charitable Communications. This KC Cares segment was brought to you by the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundation, www.kaufman.org. Now, if you'd like to be a guest like Laura, you can go to our website, which is kccaresonline.org. and spread the love. You'll find us on Facebook and Twitter at Casey Cares Radio and on Instagram at Casey Cares Online. And don't forget, you can catch us on Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. on ESPN 1510 AM and 94.5 FM. Thanks for joining us on Casey Cares.